The police relied on digital signatures to crack the Pune murder case where Ketan Agarwal was murdered by his fiancée and her lover. A CCTV camera installed near the fort's ticket counter captured the hooded man, later identified as Chetan Chaudhary, who was one of the accused in the murder of Ketan Agarwal. Now, Chaudhary arose suspicion after he was found wearing a hooded jacket at 33 degrees Celsius. Now, according to Pune Rural Police sources, the prime accused, Siya Goyal and Chetan Chaudhary, had been in contact with each other for approximately 3 years. Police claimed the motive appeared to be Siya's relationship with Chetan and her alleged unwillingness to continue with her marriage to Ketan. The police analyzed call records between the two from January 1st to June, revealing that they had spoken for a total of 238 hours over the preceding 6 months. The investigation revealed that on the day of the murder, Chetan Chaudhary's internet connection remained inactive from 7 a.m. to 5:40 p.m., a detail that caught the investigators' attention. Police discovered that as part of a calculated plot to evade location tracking, Chetan had left his own phone at his shop and traveled to Lohagad, carrying an employee's phone instead. According to the plan, Siya and Chetan had finalized the murder conspiracy on the 16th and 17th of June. They communicated via FaceTime, WhatsApp calls, and direct phone calls. However, investigators said Ketan's family members revealed that Siya had earlier expressed doubts about the marriage and had once asked whether the wedding could be postponed by a year. Police said inquiries with Ketan's sister Sanjana and other relatives revealed that Siya had repeatedly insisted that Ketan visit the Lohagad Fort. Police claimed that on the 14th of June, Siya allegedly attempted to push Ketan from the cliff, but he managed to hold on to a bush. When Ketan questioned what had happened, she allegedly raised an alarm about a snake and presented the incident as if she had saved him. We have Dr. Kapil Kakkar, psychologist, now joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Kapil Kakkar, thank you for being with us. This is the kind of case that seems to be on repeat mode. Wives plotting to kill the husbands, fiancés plotting to kill their to-be husbands. What do you think is going wrong over here? Do you see a sudden rise in these type of situations? Is it a matter of societal pressure on?
Emotions that you would also see in the case, each one case as well.
Right, Dr. Kapil Kakkar, we have to fix that audio with you. We're not able to hear you clearly, but the big story that we're tracking at this hour, the police relying on digital signatures to crack the Pune murder case, a case where now clear details have emerged. CCTV camera installed near the Lohagad Fort's ticket counter, capturing a hooded man, a man wearing a hoodie at 33 degrees Celsius, raising suspicions. According to the Pune Rural Police sources, the prime accused, Siya Goyal and Chetan Chaudhary, had been in contact with each other for the last 3 years, and they had spoken for an over of 238 hours over the phone over the preceding 6 months. We have Dr. Kapil Kakkar now with us. Dr. Kapil Kakkar, hope you can hear us clearly. You were telling us. Please continue.
Yes, I can. Yes. So what I was telling you was that this is a classic case, and otherwise also the cases that you were mentioning, these are all cases of raw emotions which go wrong because the girls are not able to confide in their family members. Even if some of the family members know about what is going in the girl's private life, they tend to hide it from, if I would use the word so-called the head of the family. And it also has a certain pride involved in it, that every family would want their child to get married to somebody who is at the equal stature. If you remember the Sonam case also, the boy she was involved in was working with her father. And similarly, in this case also, I do not see the stature of the boy she was in love with, or it's an intercaste issue, maybe, which would have prevented her telling it to her family members very openly. I do not want to get into this wedlock. So primarily, it is about not confiding and the parents' expectation about the well-being of their daughter, that they would go to any extent to secure their future by getting them married into a very good family. However, they forget that they also have their own aspirations, and this is where things start going wrong. Secondly, I will also like to tell your viewers that in your brain we have something called amygdala. Now, amygdala is an emotional part. Why I'm talking about amygdala particularly in this case also is because these were young couples. The girl, I think, was around 20, 22 year old. So when the amygdala is active or is proactive in the brain, and it remains active till the age of 25, where the PFC, the logical side of the brain, actually starts taking over. And that is when I say it was a pure raw emotion. It is basically triggered by the amygdala, where they got into this so-called raw love, where they found the victim to be the impediment, the obstacle, who unfortunately was not for them, but the fear of telling it to the parents and the repercussions of it was one of the reasons of the fallout. Also, one more thing: if you look at the consequences and the ramifications, such people who are blindly in love, thanks to the amygdala, they do not think about the ramification because they think they always have a foolproof plan. So they repeated something what Sonam had done in Northeast, but at the same time, this time around, they thought that they would get away with it. That is why the boy, he switched off his mobile phone, like you said, so from morning till the evening 5:30, and then he was wearing a hoodie, thinking that nobody will be able to catch them. But they get so carried away with their own plans and with their own logics that they forget we are living in a digital world. Also, the humanity goes away, where the self-consumption of one's own interest is paramount, not thinking about, well, I can call off the wedding. All those things do not go in their head. Like you also said, that she was wanting to postpone it by another year. For me, the family members knew it, and they were trying to push the girl into a family which they believed was of an equal stature, and they thought that she would get over this so-called affair over a period of time. However, love becomes so strong, especially today when I talk about Gen Z, where we are talking about individual taking more importance than the family and the family traditions. What used to happen erstwhile, maybe 20, 25 years back also, today the children, they are more self-consumed, they have myopic interests, until the time they are fulfilling those interests, they are okay with it. That is why you would see phenomena and things like situationship, benchmanship, etc., etc. Why are all these things coming around? These are primarily coming around because these children have become so self-consumed. And one more thing, the common thing that I am also seeing, though it's not supported by research, that perhaps kids from smaller towns, where they feel they are more controlled and the freedom is less, is where they end up doing this more vis-a-vis places like Mumbai, Calcutta, or Delhi, or Chennai, etc., where the parents now have realized, all right, this is my child, these are their expectations, I cannot control my child, I need them to be transparent to us, so that we can define a collective, safe future for them.
Dr. Kapil Kakkar, what I think many watching this and many listening to you will be asking, one thing is to have that fear, societal pressure, about not wanting to go through with that marriage and etc., etc. But there are so many ways of dealing with it. Go through with the marriage, get a divorce, get on with your life. Or go on the day of the wedding and say, I'm not interested, throw a fit. You don't need to go commit murder. I mean, the scariest part is that from where does the thought of not wanting to be in a marriage go towards, the only way I can escape the situation is if I murder the person in question.
So, people like you and I can think like that because we have crossed that age. You need to think from an age of somebody who is 18, 19, 20, 21-year old, would have a constant pressure, would be coming from an orthodox family where the freedom would not be enough, and would have been intimidated several times in the past, directly or indirectly, that we want your good and you just need to blindly follow what I say. So what happens is there is there's an element of phobia that tends to set into such people, and then they think the best way is to take their own actions, take their own decisions, and that is why they start getting surrounded to like-minded people. Now, in this case, her boyfriend Chaudhary obviously planned and connived with her, but I'm sure there would be 2, 3 more people who would be supporting them from outside, reinforcing it to these two, Chaudhary and the girl, which I'm sure would come out in the police investigation. Again, answering your question, why do these people or these youngsters they end up doing it? It is primarily partly the fault of the family, who are so binded with the traditions that for them traditions and the societal prestige is more important than the welfare of their children. And when the children end up resigning to that fate, this is what they unfortunately end up not even thinking what is happening to the other child.
Fair enough. Dr. Kapil Kakkar, I have to ask you this. It's not the first time that young people have been under stress, under pressure from society. Imagine, talking about age. 50 years ago, if you were 25 years old and your wedding was fixed, there is absolutely no going back from it. You have absolutely no choice whatsoever. You can't even get a divorce. At least today, you're talking about a time when divorce is accepted by society. 50 years ago, young people with such less exposure to the world, were under the same kind of stress. Has something changed with Gen Z? Is that the reason why the same pressure results in such cruelty?
Absolutely, absolutely. Things have changed. You need to understand the environment has totally flipped. There was a time during your parents, when you were growing up, perhaps what was of paramount value, that parents wanted to survive, they wanted good job, they wanted a decent basic life so that you can get a good education. When it came to you, the next generation, they had more options, better options, but still survival always used to be crisis. Now, when you see the Gen Z, now Gen Z is somebody who has not seen those eras. They have not seen those job opportunities or those kind of opportunities which were not there at one point of time. For them, this is a world which they forget to appreciate the kind of struggle their parents and their grandfathers and their grandparents did. So that is where it comes out that for them, this is the new reality, because they do not appreciate, they have not seen the struggle of the parents. For them, the life begins with them and the life ends with them with their own self-interest. That is what is changing now. So there is no appreciation of the effort that parents are making for them. Every Gen Z would want to be alone. In fact, there's this cockroach Janata Party. I was listening to some of the Gen Zs in the interviews, and you would be surprised. I'm sure you would know this, that some of them said, "We don't care about cockroach Janata Party. We are here because I'm a victim of NEET." It was as simple. Will you like to be with Cockroach Janata Party in future? Well, I don't know. I am not interested. So when I'm talking about this self-consumption attitude, such selfish attitude, this is changing the value, because today the entire scenario of employment for a certain level, I'm not talking about the entire India, but I'm talking about the upper middle class or the middle class who can afford a lot of things for their children. The things have changed. It is not about survival. It is more about desire and what they can do with their own life independently. And that is where there's nobody to guide them, because they don't want any mentors around, unfortunately.
Fair enough. We will leave it at that. Dr. Kapil Kakkar, psychologist, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on News9.
Thank you.